Okay. Um, Last part of this training. Um, so we probably have a very short session today. There are a couple of things that I want to talk about. First of all, I talked about the branding and part of the platform. Under the distributor, I can find an option branding. If I log in as a vendor and I go to that same settings page, the branding part is not there. From our perspective, what we assume should be the look and feel is a customer has a relationship with a distributor, and that distributor sells different kinds of services, etc., etc. But it that distributor is the or should be, let's say, the only contact point with that end customer whatsoever. That means that from a distributor perspective, everything that is coming in front of the customer needs to have his look and feel. Even if that vendor has its own control panel. But that is why if I and here again, just like within Cloud Blue Commerce, the brand is mandated by the URL that is accessed. In this case, education.cloudblue.io. This is the brand for this specific control panel. And if I go to this scenario and I go to branding, you will see that the domain that I'm using for this brand is education.cloudblue.io. The colors and logos that I added are shown here. I just made it a little bit. We can do the same thing for the education team portal. That is education.customer.cloudblue.io. It's a different portal, so a different brand. Why am I seeing it as a distributor then in that blue with the Cloud Blue logo? Because I'm using the default URL, the default brand, portal.connect.cloudblue.com. If you want to communicate with your customers, don't use that portal because it will always have the Cloud Blue logo look and feel. You will probably have your own brand in Connect. Make sure you use that brand and update the look and feel if it hasn't been done yet. You can verify that the moment you have access to the distributor portal of your company. That's one thing. Let me go back to the home page. Of course, I can do something similar and going to education.connect.io and then log in with the credentials for my test distributor, and I will see the same red look and feel. I'm keeping it separate because it makes it easier for you as well as for me to recognize, am I a distributor now or am I a vendor now? And I decided to do the vendor in the colors of my brand. What more do we have? We have a module called PIM here, Product Information Management. And product information management is, let's say, something where I can request as a distributor. This is a distributor-driven scenario where I can, as a distributor, set up a template to request specific information about a specific type of product from my vendors. And in this case, I have built something for a laptop for rent kind of scenario. What CPUs are in there? What type of device is it? Is it a tablet? Is it a laptop? Is it a desktop? Those kind of things are to be chosen. What OS is running on it? Is it a Chromebook? Is it a Windows machine? Is what? And then maybe which version of Windows? And what memory amount, screen size are we talking about? 11-inch laptops, those whole very small ones, or is this a 17-inch laptop? Things that I always call a luggable. Disk space, clock speed, all those kind of things I can set up, and I can request my my vendors to fill that out. It's not a mandatory thing, so the vendor is free to do it or leave it out. This is where, when I created my product, and let me quickly show you. If I create a product, I get this information, and then we have this scenario, categories, variants, etc., etc. This is exactly what I'm talking about. I skipped it at the beginning because I wanted to focus on the product creation, but I can always go back in later. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to now fill it out. It's part of my product, so it is part of this scenario. And here we see that there is no product information configured yet, so I can configure it. What category is this? Well, what are we talking about? We are looking at, in this case, laptops, or we are looking at hardware. We can create our own categories. And if we do this consistently every time for or every vendor does this consistently for products that they're selling through me, eventually I will, in my marketplace, be able to create some kind of comparison chart. Hey, I want to see all laptops with a 17-inch monitor. Okay, here they are, because we have them. I want to see all laptops that have 16 gigs of RAM internal. Select, this is the list. Of course, this depends on whether or not the vendor is going to set this up correct. So now we have some general attributes. We've got general, the type of device, CPUs, colors, if needed. I can go in the general information. This is base, rentable laptops. The type of device, what is it? Laptop, desktop, tablet, mobile phone. In this case, we're selling laptops. What color do they have? Well, I had to think about something. So I do black, and CPU, let's say 2GHZ, something like that. Save. That's one thing. This is for the product itself. I could even leave some of these things out because the CPU might be different for the basic laptop as for the Pro laptop. So in that case, leave this one blank. Here, for the items themselves, we can also do a let's do it different. Let's do it different. Let's go here, edit, and let's say this is a i5 Intel i5. And then we can go for the basic laptop. And my basic laptops are all the same. So we're saying this is 8 GB. I can predefine some things. I can specify screen sizes. Let's say this is a 16-inch. Disk space. We have predefined some stuff, and we have a clock speed of 2.4 gigahertz. Save for the basic laptop monthly. Of course, since it's the same device, we're going to do that for this one as well. Memory amount was 8. Screen size was 13, I think. Disk space was 500 gigs, and clock speed was 2.4 gigs. Save. We're going to use the high-end laptops, and the high-end laptops have a different scenario. They have 16 gigs, screen size is 16-inch, disk space 2 terabytes, and clock speed 3. Let's do it for this one. Memory amount was 16 gigs. Screen size was 16. Disk space 2 terabytes and clock speed 3 gigahertz. Save. So here we are. Now for all my items, I have filled this out. This on one side works very well. What is the downside of this? You have to do it per distributor. So if another distributor has different fields, you have to go through the same set of settings through the same set of items with different settings or different important scenarios. So you have to think about if this is important or not, and how much work will it provide our distributors as well as our vendors. So if I now go to my product at the side of our environment, is this the correct one? This is not the correct one. I have too many products here. What is my product ID? Let's go here. General. Let's search for this product ID. No, not vendor. Name. Close. There we are. Let's see. Hey, why does it not open that item? Something weird happening. Let's refresh. Let's go to the PIM module and see what it gives me. Sorry, I need to go here to the PIM module. We requested that. We've got general attributes. We've got machine scenarios. We can set up variants, combinations of things, standard products. We've got our categories there. Why don't I see that information? Because I need to see, or I should see it. Or do I need, I'm not 100% sure. What's the name of the product? The name of the product is that one. I set up this. I'm not sure if I have to publish this one, to be honest. I thought I did not. It's a long time since I did this. Okay. Refresh that product. Here we are. Now we see that there is a tab called AMX Demo. So now, as a distributor, you see that this vendor, AMX Demo, added parameters there. The same thing for the items where we see all that information. I can add extra information if I want to. So this could be interesting if you want to do a comparison chart. Not necessary. It's not mandatory. I have put it in because it's an option, and I always do the demonstration about laptops for rent. So in that case, let's make it simple, keep it simple, and say, okay, I can now add those items only once, and after that, I can reuse that scenario. So what can I do? I can add attributes. What type of attribute is it? You've seen drop downs, most of them, with me. 500 gigs, 1 terabyte, 2 terabytes as disk space storage. Couple of options for my memory. 2, 4, 8, 16, 32 gigs of RAM. I can also do single line text. I can do files. I can do measurements, etc. But most of them will be drop downs. Of course, I have to select the options here. I'm going to take a single line text, go to the next page. The details and the code that we're using for that. It must be unique. And then we can group it. Where do we want this to show? And what is more important, is this a parameter for the product in itself? So the t-shirt, right? Or is this for the specific item? For item, I would say size and color. If we're going to use the difference between product and item using that scope, the product would be shirt, and that would be cotton. Properties of the scenario would be maybe 100% cotton, and that's it. Whereas the scope for items would be size, would be color, maybe print, etc., etc., right? So that is how these items are set up. Besides that, as I said, I can group those things, machine specifics. I can add a group. And you see there isn't that much to do. You give it a name and a code, and afterwards you go in and that's it. Machine specifics or general attributes. General info was a text, then we have drop down, then we have a text again. If I want to, I can change this. I can say, okay, the details. I want this to be, where is it? I want this to be a, oh, I cannot change that part. Okay, that is fixed. I wanted to make this a drop-down list where I have the I1, I3, I5, I7, etc., in there. So changing afterwards is a harder thing to do. I can edit this. And the moment I create an attribute, the moment I edit this, I can define in which group it needs to live. So the group you create empty, and then you add the items to the whole scenario. And in that process, you also assign that item information, that attribute, to the appropriate group. Then we can create variants. I want to have a 16-inch laptop with 2 gigs. Which ones are there? You can have maximum of 3 access, and it will bring up a list of devices that are available. And you could pull that information into your marketplace if you want to. That's about it. That is product information management. For the rest, most of the items later we're going to look at in our dev environment, or we think that our documentation is good enough. So from this point on, I would almost say, what questions do you have about product information management? If not, what other questions do you have on all the topics that we covered during the Connect for End User training? If not, again, please give me a thumbs up. Okay. In that case, rests me one thing to do. And that is thank you for being here. If you have more questions, don't hesitate to send me an email. You see my email address on screen. On the other hand, it is also in all the invitations that I send out. If you have questions, contact me. Thanks for your time. When you're ready, have a great weekend. And for those that are coming to the Connect for Developers or the Commerce admin training, I hope to see you soon then. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Eric.
Bye.